This week, we are talking all about how to set up your Upwork profile to stand out and start landing good clients. Are you ready? Let's do it. What is up, self-maders? And welcome to another episode of the Self-Made Web Designer Podcast. I am so glad that you are here. You know, an Upwork profile is essential to getting good, high-paying clients on the Upwork platform. But a lot of freelancers, they don't even think about it. They don't dive into it. They don't tweak their profile for success. Well, I'm going to show you how to do that this week in this week's episode so you can walk away with confidence knowing you're going to start landing some good clients on the platform. But before we dive too far into all of that, I want to make sure you know about two important things that are about to go away for the self-made web design community. The first thing is the course that I just launched, I just rolled out. Upwork for Web Designers is actually closing enrollment. That's right, it is shutting down for all of 2021. So if you want to learn how to get on the fast track to becoming a top paid and top rated freelancer on the Upwork platform, go to selfmadewebdesigner.com/enroll and sign up. There's a lot of good, great bonuses. And you know what? The training is the best I have on this subject. So you're going to figure out how to land high-paying clients and how to do it quickly without all the mistakes that I made along the way. I'm going to teach you how to avoid a lot of those things. Another thing that is shutting down is the free Masterclass or the free live training that is connected to the Upwork for Web Designers course. That's right. We've got one more to do September 1st at 5 p.m. Pacific time or 8 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure that you sign up for that. You can go to selfmadewebdesigner.com/Upwork. Get all the details about what it's about and how you can sign up. But either way, you want to make sure and do either of those things quickly because they're not going to be around for much longer. All right, are you ready to talk about how to fine-tune your Upwork profile to start standing out and winning clients? Okay, let's do it. You know, a good Upwork profile is absolutely essential to attracting and landing clients on Upwork. I mean, think about it from the client's perspective, right? You've got a job and you need to hire someone, but you don't know anyone personally who can do the job for you. So your solution is to turn to strangers online. How scary is that, right? How do you know for sure that they won't just take your money and walk away? Or what if you put a ton of time and effort into a project only to come to the end of it and find out the freelancer just isn't able to get it done for you the way that you need it to be done? Well, the answer to quelching or calming those fears as a client is to do everything you can to find out as much as possible about the person you're about to hire. And where do you turn to do that? You guessed it, you turn to their Upwork profile. This is one of the key elements to building trust with a client and making them feel confident that you are the right freelancer for the job. So you got to make sure that your Upwork profile is flawless. Here are some things that you can do right now to make sure that you've got a strong Upwork profile that wows your future clients and makes you stand out as a freelancer. Number one, have a specific person in mind. When you're creating your Upwork profile, you need to be thinking about the exact type of client that you would love to work with. It's really easy to be tempted to say you'd love to work with anyone that is willing to pay you, right? And I get that. But at the end of the day, you'll be able to get more clients at higher rates if you decide to focus on a specific type of client with a specific set of needs. And ultimately, your Upwork profile will stand out more if you niche down and speak directly to a very particular type of client. Hardly any freelancers do this, all right? So you'll already have a leg up if you decide to get really focused on who you're trying to reach in your Upwork profile. So how do you do that? Well, you first start with your skills. You can do it there by choosing to promote very specific skills on your profile. You ask questions like, what does your perfect client want you to be good at? What are they hoping you'll be able to do? Those are the skills that you want to focus on. You only mention the things that are important to your ideal client. And you'd think the best thing to do would be to list every possible thing someone might want to hire you for in your skills section, but you'd be wrong. I'm sure there's a lot of things that you can do, but you need to focus on just a really small amount of things that your client is looking for. When I first got started, I had spent a lot of time working on a WordPress plugin/theme called Optimize Press. So even though it's a really obscure skill to list, I added it to my bundle of skills. And sure enough, the first few jobs I got were all using Optimize Press. So see, people aren't looking for someone who is a jack of all trades. They're looking for someone that is good at the specific thing that they are looking to have done. For the people that hired me, they wanted an expert in Optimize Press or in the specific skills that I focused on in my Upwork profile. Another thing that you want to be specific about is your description paragraph. What is your description paragraph, you may ask? Well, I'm glad you asked it. Let me explain. That's the paragraph that comes right underneath your title and your hourly wage on your profile. And this is the perfect place to speak to the anxieties and the hopes and dreams of your client. Talk about what they might be looking for specifically. Address any concerns you know that they might have. And do it all before they have to click on that little read more link, right? Because we all know that people skim and they don't take much effort at first glance. So put the important stuff at the top of that description paragraph. Another thing to be specific in is your title, right? You want to speak to your ideal client with the type of title you've got. Get as specific as possible. Rather than say you're a web designer or a web developer, tell them that you're a WordPress developer for course creators or a UX designer for SaaS companies. And SaaS stands for software as a service if you're not familiar with that lingo. The more specific and detailed that you can get for a specific client, the more your Upwork profile is going to stand out. Number 2, make it all about the client, not you. Okay, hear me out. I know that sounds weird. After all, this is your profile, right? It's not your client's profile. But here's something I learned from someone named Donald Miller and his story brand framework, all right? Your client isn't looking for you to be the hero of their story, all right? They want you to help them be the hero of their story. And you don't do that by trying to convince them of how awesome you are, right? You do that by showing them you know their struggles and you've helped other people like them overcome similar challenges. And you're passionate about helping them and their business / organization / project / whatever succeed. So many freelancers get this wrong. Their profile focuses almost entirely on how awesome they are as a freelancer and how many skills they've got, how many years of experience they have. And listen, none of that is bad per se. But if you can't bring that all back to the client's success, then it's just not as powerful. So for sure, talk about yourself, but always bring it back to why that helps the client accomplish their own goals and ultimately helps them become the hero of their own story. Number 3, fill out everything. And I mean everything. There should be no stone unturned on your Upwork profile. In other words, if there's a place to add something, you better believe it's important for you to fill it in. We're talking about outside testimonies, employment history, a video, the school you went to, certificates, absolutely everything. If there's a space for it on the profile, make sure that you add it. All right. The truth is you never know what is going to be the tipping point for someone hiring you over another freelancer. Clients are sometimes faced with an overwhelming amount of freelancer applications. And when that happens, it's tough to know why applicant number 13 is much different than applicant number 34, okay? So you go with the stuff that maybe doesn't even really matter, like a mutual hobby that you have. Sounds funny, but it's true. It's happened to me. I've gotten hired because I went to college in Dallas, Texas, right? I've gotten hired because the client liked my video. So Don't leave it to chance. Make sure your Upwork profile is 100% filled out. It also gives you the added benefit of being able to be eligible to be a top-rated freelancer on the platform. And here are a few underutilized Upwork profile options that I don't see a lot of freelancers fill out. So doing these is like an easy win, an easy way for you to stand out. The first is your video. The video option is one of the most underused features of the Upwork profile that I have seen, but it's one of the best ways to connect with your client and help them see what it would be like to actually work with you. I've literally gotten an $8,000 job from my Upwork profile video. Like the client said, I'm hiring you because of your video. And here's the deal. I did the thing from my laptop with the computer camera and the computer microphone. You don't have to be a Hollywood producer, and clients don't expect that from you. Having a clear video with a little music in the background can go a long way. Make sure to script it out. Make sure you know what you're going to say before you jump on there, and don't just mumble, right? Don't just go on and on without it being somewhat compelling, but try to come prepared. And remember, you can do it as often as you like before anybody sees it. Nobody's going to know that it's the 25th or 100th take. Just make sure you do it to the point where you feel confident that it's going to impress a client. Another thing that you can put on that a lot of freelancers don't put is your location. I've gotten interviews solely based on the fact that I was close to the client. So don't leave this puppy out. You might be saying, but Chris, I'm in an area of the world that people might look down upon where I live. And I get that fear. And honestly, I think someone's dumb if they don't hire you just because you're from a certain part of the world. But here's the thing. I can tell when someone is lying about their location. See, I've been a client on Upwork as well as a freelancer, and I've looked at profiles and been able to pick out whenever someone is lying about their actual location or added some fake headshot that is actually a stock photo. Trust me, it's not difficult. So be honest. When I see those things, it's an immediate dismiss from me. I'd rather you be honest about your situation than make up some fake story about who you are. So add your location and be honest about it. And finally, another underutilized part of the Upwork profile is the other experience section. There's a section at the bottom where you can list out things like employment, hobbies, education. You might not think it's a big deal, but it can be. Some clients want to feel like they're connected to you, and there's no way to do that if all they know about you is your skill as a web designer. So use this as an opportunity to present yourself as an approachable human being. Listen, some people won't care about this section, and that's fine. Those people probably won't make it down that far in your profile anyways, but some people will. So use that opportunity to share a bit about yourself in order to make a personal connection with all of your potential clients. Number 4, don't hold back on outside testimonies. One thing that is fairly new to the Upwork profile world is the ability to add outside testimonies to your profile. And that's great news for folks who are new to the platform, but not new to freelancing. You can now add social proof and ease the fear of clients without having to get any jobs on Upwork. And some of the more impressive profiles that have done this did not cap the number of people that they asked to give them a testimonial. I'm serious. They had like 7 or 8 outside testimonies on their Upwork profile. So just think about how that puts a client's heart at ease. When you have that many people willing to vouch for you as a freelancer, it can really show just how good of a job you're going to do without you having to have Upwork proof or projects that you've gotten from the platform directly. Now, you may be new to the world of freelancing or in the skill that you're trying to freelance for on Upwork. But just because you don't have testimonies related to the specific skill doesn't mean you should ask for outside testimonies. Do you have a boss that would be willing to vouch for you? Someone you've worked with who can talk about your character, your ability to stick it through until a job is done? Ask them to vouch for you as a worker. Anybody who is willing to say something nice about you could be helpful. Now, one word of caution: do not get fake outside testimonies. I'm going to say it again. don't get fake outside testimonies, meaning don't ask somebody to say something about you that isn't true, right? If you've not done any jobs in the space that you're trying to freelance in, don't get somebody to say that you have, or don't create a fake email account and give your own outside testimony, okay? First of all, your integrity is worth way more than getting a job on Upwork. And if you're willing to compromise on small things, when it comes to being honest, you'll eventually be willing to compromise on big things. So for yourself, just don't do it. But also, Upwork is pretty good at figuring out who's trying to cook the books or cheat the system. I've seen many a post on Reddit from users who were kicked out or banned from freelancing for doing things like this. So always go the way of integrity, even if it takes you longer to be successful. Number 5, spruce up your portfolio. An updated portfolio is one of the last things most freelancers make time for, but it's one of the most important things you can stay on top of as a freelancer, especially with your Upwork profile. Your portfolio is one of the biggest indicators a client has to know what you're able to accomplish. And if what you're showing them isn't a true representation of what you're capable of, then you'll have a hard time impressing them with where you're at now. So take some time and give your portfolio some love, some portfolio love. Give your portfolio a hug. Okay? It'll be well worth the effort. And when you do, think about it from your client's perspective. What are they wanting to see? How would they want your work to be displayed? Remember, most clients are just going to skim before they decide to really dive in, before they take a second glance. That means they're only going to see the little tiny portfolio thumbnails. And if you go look on an Upwork portfolio or profile right now, the thumbnails are pretty small. So make sure you're doing your work justice on a really small scale. Don't make it tough to see your work by putting it in some fancy mock-up that doesn't really display your work or bring your work to the forefront of the image. Think of this as a dribble shot, right? You want to be able to stand a few feet back from it and still be impressed by it, especially if you're doing any kind of in-depth design work. You can also tie any portfolio image to an actual job that you've done on Upwork. So your portfolio images will show up in your feedback feed when you do have a completed job on Upwork with client feedback. It's not something a lot of freelancers do, and this can help you to really stand out. Here's the thing. It's important to do as much as you can with your portfolio. Fill the thing up until there's no more room left. The more chances you have to show a client something similar to what they're looking for, the better. Because it's tough for people to connect the dots sometimes. It's tough for clients to connect the dots between the work you've done and the work they're trying to have accomplished. I've had so many clients tell me that the reason they chose me was that they saw something in my portfolio that reflected what they were looking for in their own project. And the reality is, I know I can give a client what they're looking for, even if I don't have a similar project in my pocket, but they don't know that. So it's my job to bridge the gap between what they want and what they see in me. If you don't have a portfolio right now, if you're just getting started, you've got a few options still. You're not without luck, right? The first thing you can do is put anything that you've got that is somewhat related to the work you're trying to do on Upwork in your portfolio. So for instance, when I first got started on Upwork, I only had like 3 web design projects to my name, and that was it, right? But I didn't want to just put 3 things in my portfolio. But I also had a few graphic design things that I had done for the band that I was in before I started freelancing. So guess what I put in my portfolio? You better believe I put our album artwork. I put our poster artwork. I put anything that I could find that I had done that was related to some type of visualization that a client could see. You can also do your own non-paid projects, right? If you're a web designer who made their own website, put it in your portfolio. Do mock projects while you're waiting to get work. Create a made-up business's website. Redo a well-known website and add your own spin to it. But whatever you do, always keep creating something. And when you finish that, put it in your portfolio. Number 6, don't underestimate a good headshot. Your headshot is like the front door to your house, okay? And if your front door looks like something out of a scary movie, you better believe that clients are going to run away in fear. This is your chance to impress clients without really having to put a whole bunch of effort into it, right? Is a professional headshot worth it? Absolutely. It is 100% worth the time and the money because you're going to get something that is quality, that makes you look better than probably what you look like right now. And you're going to be able to use that puppy over and over again. But if you don't have the money to pay for those headshots right now, there's a few tips that you can use to master the headshot even if you're using your phone. The first thing is use a good backdrop. You're trying to make this look like you didn't take the photo on your phone next to your bathroom, right? That's not to say you can't use your phone and stand next to the bathroom. You just have to make sure it doesn't look that way. So a nice neutral background works well if nothing else. Just be intentional. Number 2, edit the photo. Our phones have so many cool features these days. There's no excuse to have a bad photo on your profile. Utilize the depth of field setting where your face is the focal point and everything else is blurred out in the background. Download a good editing app like Adobe Lightroom and mess with the presets. It doesn't have to be an award-winning photo. You just have to try. The third thing you can do is have someone else take the photo. Seems pretty straightforward, right? But I see so many headshots with people's arms extended to the camera, revealing the fact that they're actually taking a selfie. How easy is it to ask someone to take a picture for you? A friend, a family member. Heck, if we're close in proximity, shoot me an email and I'll do it for you. Fourth, and the final tip for taking good headshots with your phone is you gotta look good. Take a shower before the photo. Do your hair. Smile, right? Actually look like you're a happy person because this is the only chance that someone has to get an impression of you as a person. But whatever you do, make sure that you're intentional about your headshot. This is the very first thing that a potential client is going to see. The bottom line is you have to be as intentional as you can about everything on your Upwork profile. Try to think about your profile from the perspective of the client. If you were hiring someone on Upwork, what things would you want to know about the freelancer before you decided to give them the project? That's how you have to think about your own Upwork profile. After all, this is kind of a scary thing. You're giving money to someone you've never actually met in person. It could either go really well or really badly. So help ease your clients' worries and make a winning Upwork profile by doing everything that I've outlined here. Hopefully you feel a little bit more confident about your profile as an Upwork freelancer. And remember, you can make tweaks and adjustments to see what really works. You're not locked out of editing your description after the first try, right? If you're running into a slow season, try making some adjustments to your profile. Test it to see if it makes a difference in the projects that you're winning or getting interviewed for. But whatever you do, don't give up. If you're struggling to land projects on Upwork, keep dialing in your profile and eventually you're going to unlock the code and start landing clients because of just how amazing that thing looks. All right. I hope that you got something really good about our conversation on how to make your Upwork profile stand out. And don't forget, we're having our final masterclass, our free live training on 3 simple steps to landing high-paying clients on Upwork. That's tomorrow, September 1st at 5 p.m. Pacific time or 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's a great training. We've had 700 people sign up for this thing. All right. It's been awesome. And I've loved interacting with all of you out there. So make sure that you go to selfmadewebdesigner.com/Upwork and sign up before it is too late. All right. That is it for this week. We're coming back again next Wednesday night. And we're just going to keep doing this again and again, talking about freelancing, talking about web design, and hopefully getting a little bit of encouragement along the way. Whatever you're doing, keep going. Don't give up. And don't forget, if you don't quit, you win.